Hello everyone, welcome back to more How Good Are. Today we're going to talk about two very cute characters that definitely need our protection to protect their smiles. And we're going to start out today with a character who, interesting enough, was the very first character to be an alternate version of a character that wasn't even in the game yet. And I think to this day there's been no other character that was like this. I mean, you can't do a units like that. But yeah, and this Moemura is indeed called a alternate version because she has that in brackets here. So the cool Homura is actually the normal Homura as far as the game is concerned. But technicalities off the side, we need to talk about her because basically everyone has her. If you don't have her, then maybe your account is only like 6 days old or whatever. But the thing is, if you just play the game, you get these missions in your stamp card that you can mark off, and if you mark off all the missions in your stamp card on the second stamp card, you just get this Moemura unit. You just get her. And of course, if you pre-registered to the game before the game came out or played rather close to release of the game, you also just got her for free. And of course, even if you haven't done any of those two things for some reason, then she's still just in the shop. If you go to the Destiny chip, the Magia chip shop, she's just there for 300 Magia chips, which isn't that hard to get. So there are many ways of just getting a freebie of Moemura. So if you've been playing for a very early time and you've got the 300 Magia chips, and then once the stamp books came out, the stamp cards, just by doing those three things, which are very simple, you already got her to 3 slots. Okay, in the 4th slot you can just buy 1 more Magia chips. So it's very, very easy to 3 slot to even 4 slot this character, and that is why I need to say right off the bat, no matter how good this character actually will be, just the fact that you get her for free, and the fact that it's easy to slot her, more easy than a lot of other characters, well, not 4-star characters, but not lower characters, I mean, she will be easier to slot than other 4-star characters because she's apparently a natural 4-star, even though we're gonna see that she's more like a lower rarity character that just got a 5-star uncap. All of that out of the way, let's talk about what she actually does. She's a support with 2 charge discs, 2 blast discs, which is weird because that's more like offensive disc set. And she's a support who, as we see, has not that great stats. Her defense is not that amazing, her attack is abysmal, and her HP is at least somewhat alright. So with that amount of HP, you can at least sort of play her as a tank, but her regular defense is not that great, so you'll sort of have to deal with the fact that even if you do play her a bit more tanky, she'll still go down rather quickly because she just doesn't reduce enemy damage that much. Of course, she does have a personal as well, gives skill quicken to self, so for 3 turns, you can use the other second Memoria that you have a little bit faster. Just play 2 Memoria, just to play 2 actual Memoria. Why would you use this? I just have to say something about Skill Quicken because Skill Quicken is going to come up again a bunch with this character. Skill Quicken basically when a turn starts and you have Skill Quicken active, all active Memoria that you have will tick down for an additional turn on their cooldown. So if you have a 3-turn cooldown Memoria, that cooldown would go from 3 down to 1 instead if you have Skill Quicken. There are effects like this that give you a 100% chance to Skill Quicken, so it will just activate at the start of your turn. But there are also other abilities, a lot of supports have it passively in their Spirit Enhancement, that just at the start of every turn, they have a chance of activating this. So moving on though, since she is a support, hopefully her connected Magia and stuff is going to be very great, right? Good supporting. Well, it gives chance to evade 100%, and that's about it. Because the thing is, the other thing is Magia damage up, which is a noticeably way worse effect than attack up. This is probably a worse effect. No, not just probably. This is a worse effect in 99.99% of cases than attack up 20%, right? So it's like, even if this was an attack up, it would still be really bad compared to other people who have a 40% attack up or even a 35% attack up if they're a lower rarity character. And here we have 20% and it's not even attack up, it's Magia up. But hey, she does 7.5% bonus to the PMHQ. Who cares? I have to, by the way, mention at this point that she does get connect bonus from, I think it's Madoka, but more importantly from her girlfriend Kuro as well. But, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much. Because we're going to figure out at the very end of this that you don't actually want to play Homura, sadly, Moemura. And the chance to evade, I mean, I guess it's alright. You can kind of cheese stuff a little bit, especially with some stuff we're gonna see later. But apart from maybe cheesing a little bit here and there, a lot of people nowadays, a lot of enemies, even in PvE, have status aimants, have anti-evade, and even then, maybe don't even attack the target that has evade. Evade used to be a thing that was a lot more powerful back in the day when anti-evade and status aimants weren't quite so often used. But nowadays that stuff is just everywhere, so it's really hard to make too much use of evade anymore. And whenever an enemy doesn't have any of these ways to get rid of your evade, they don't have anti-evade, they don't have stealth aimants, usually people just cheese it with solo Orico, because solo Orico can basically cheese any single stage where the enemy doesn't have anti-evade of any kind. So either the enemy doesn't have anti-evade of any way and you cheese it with solo Orico, or you just play any sort of other strategy that doesn't rely on evade. What else did we do on her Magia? Certainly her Magia is going to be great as a support. It gives down to all enemies, which is going to be not a whole lot because she has terrible attack, and skill quicken to all allies. And that's the only effect. I mean, if you have really powerful active Memoria, this can be somewhat decent to get Memoria out faster, but it does nothing else. It literally does nothing else. There's no attack up, no defense up, no damage cut, no debuffs to enemies, no status aimants to enemies, no buffs to yourself, there's no heals, no MP restore, nothing. There's nothing on here other than the skill quicken. And that's just not good enough. It's just simply not good enough. Guess what though? On the Doppel you actually do get an MP restore to all allies. However, why would you play a character that is really bad, kind of terrible all the time, and get them all the way to Doppel to get an effect that is somewhat decent? Kind of feel like you should just play a better character instead. Like, even lower rarity characters are gonna do a way better job than this. Even characters that are capped at 4-star will probably do a better job with their Magia, like helping out other people than she does, and she's a support. So sucks to be you, Moemura. Ha! Guess the developers don't really like you. Guess Fate itself doesn't like you either. What about Spirit Enhancement? Maybe we can find something interesting on the skill enhancement. We see Spirit Enhancement, we see chance of skill seal on attack. Okay. We see some damage cut. Hey, if you want to play her as a tank, the damage cut is going to help. And then we see, oh, she has 2 skill quicken nodes. That's actually rather interesting that she has 2 of those. That's actually quite fine. So with 2 skill quicken nodes, it does stack, as far as I know, multiplicatively. So first, when the turn starts, it checks 15%, are you going to get a skill quicken? If that fails, it checks once again, 50% are going to get a skill quicken. And I think that comes around to a chance of getting at least 1 skill quicken at 27.25%, I think it should be. I don't know if you can get both activating at the same time and take the cooldown even further. I have no idea. I have no idea if you can stack skill quickens even to have Memoria stick down multiple turns each turn. I don't know if that works, because basically no one is even running this unit. So, or even people that do run this unit aren't gonna stack the Magia somehow. So I don't know if that is even possible. Even if it is possible, still not worth it, because if you could instead stack an attack up or something, that would be way better. What else do we have though? Hey, the active gives evade to self, and I guess there can be turns where if you have down to 2 units, you have 1 unit and like any unit, and you have Moemura, and your Moemura does the connect on the other unit, you can activate evade yourself, and hey, both your characters have evade, and if the enemy can't counter it in any way, then you're gonna be pretty fine. But that's basically the only situation where this is like always good. Apart from that, it's still RNG if you're even gonna get hit, and of course if the enemy doesn't have a way of getting around that. And I don't usually mention it that often, but of course you can get hit by Magia, of course, if you use your evade. So if you're trying to cheese stages or cheese enemy attacks, then of course you need to dodge enemy Magias as well. So that's another thing to worry about. So overall, I'm sorry, Moemura, you're just not that good at all. But at least you've got nice friends to help you out. You've got Natsuki who likes to cheer for you. And you know what? I'm actually a really, really big Homura fan. She's probably my favorite fiction character of all time. But that still doesn't stop me from telling you guys that she's actually a terrible unit in this game, and that cool Homura has a really terrible spirit enhancement. But you know what? I'm gonna do the Natsuki. I'm gonna cheer her on. And here it comes, Moemura. Go fight, win! And now moving on to the next Mayu before I'm about to die from shame. The next Mayu, this unit right here, is called Mayu Kozue, and we're gonna see it with this character. Well, at least I wish we would see, but this character, lore-wise, is supposed to be someone who keeps accidentally charming people to become attracted to her. That's kind of the idea behind her. But the people that she's charming happen to be middle-aged guys. Read her Magical Girl story, it's kind of weird. Anyway, so we see that she has 2 Exalis, 2 Blastists, she's Magia type. This is her personal chance to charm 1 unit. Hey, at least the personal has a charm. Let's see how many other ways she has of inflicting charm on enemies, as is her lore. So how good is this, by the way? I guess this is something you could use against some boss that doesn't have resistance or immunity to charm to sort of cheat out another turn. And if you can do that, this is really, really powerful. If you can't do that, it's not that great. Yeah, so you kind of need to know the enemy. So if you look at the stats, the attack is somewhat workable. The defense and HP is somewhat decent in the middle, maybe somewhat average, I would say. So overall, the total mass of stats that she has isn't that good, but maybe with the attack that she has, we can maybe make something do. We see that she is a Magia type, but I think it's actually more so that I think personally I would call her more on the support side. But we're going to see that she's actually kind of a mixture between a support and a Magia, and I guess you can't give a unit 2 types, so they just said, well, if you're going to throw it up between support and Magia, we're just going to give it the Magia type. Doesn't really matter. Like, the actual type that she has doesn't really matter, like, gameplay wise. Like, I know you get different amounts of MP per attack depending on what your type is, but more so I like to talk about type to just give you guys an idea of what a unit is supposed to do, because the type usually tells you that what a unit is supposed to be played like. Anyway, we're going to connect and we see why I talk about her as a support. Her connect is actually pretty darn awesome. It gives a damage up, MP restore, and excel MP gain up. Apart from it not healing, this is just a way better Madoka connect. Like, if you want to connect to get people up on MP, and you can choose between Madoka or Mayu, just use Mayu. Mayu is way better at that. She does both MP restore and Excel MP gain up. So if you use this into an Excel combo, you're gonna shoot all the way up immediately to 100 MP. It's gonna be absurdly powerful in that regard. And on top of that, 40% damage up. That's better than attack up. 40% damage up is actually really awesome. So this is overall an absolutely amazing connect. Actually, just keep in mind one thing. This is primarily meant for Magia teams. If you play her on a Blast team, sure, the damage up and MP restore is nice, but you're probably not going to use Exalis. You might not even get to Magia before the fight ends, and then you just have the damage up. So overall, yeah, like, this is mostly specifically just for Magia teams, but if you do play on a Magia team, oh my god, this is absolutely great connect right here. And this is the first thing that I would say makes her like a good support, because this is better than like 9%, but this is better than like 80% of Magia support characters that I know. That's pretty good. What is her Magia about? It does attribute strength and damage to all enemies. Since she's a water type, it means she can delete fire types, especially fire types with multiple tiles, especially Kimochi. Guess what, guys? Not many people know this. I mean, NA people. Not many NA people know about this. But doing the fire Kimochi, for most big whales, Mayu was the top damage dealer on the fire Kimochi, which is kind of amazing. Because not many people know her as an attacker. Most people know her as a support, as I'm trying to tell you guys. But because her Magia is attribute strength and damage, and some other stuff that we're about to see later as well, she's actually really good at dealing damage as well, especially when she has that advantage against fire type. It also does skill seal. Whatever. It's against all enemies, so if you use this in an EX challenge quest, and you can use this against multiple enemies that all might have different actives, you can shut all of them down. Instead of, when I usually talk about skill seal not being that great, it's because it's single target, and as I say, when there's really tough challenge quests with enemy Magical Girls, usually there's multiple of them using actives, so just shutting one of them down, it helps. Still not that big of a deal compared to being able to, you know, shutting all of them down. That would be amazing. And she can do that. However, of course, this does nothing against enemies that don't use skills anyway. And here's the important part. This is also one of the big reasons why a lot of people played her as a support, is because this is absolutely amazing effect. It regenerates 12 MP per turn at Magia level 5 every turn for 3 turns. That's 36 MP this thing restores, and because it regenerates each turn like this over 3 turns, you can stack it, so you can just use it multiple times. And if you use this like one turn, then wait another turn, and wait, and then use the Magia again, then you've got like 24 MP a turn for that turn. That's actually quite amazing. So just by using her Magia over and over, you get to use more Magia. She's kind of like Merlin in that way, which is actually a pretty fitting comparison. She's kind of like the Merlin of my record, at least for Magia strategies where she can fit in. we're gonna see some other stuff that maybe is not quite something that you would like to have on your team. The thing is, here's the thing. This is really good for spamming multiple Magia, but, and this is something that makes her maybe not quite the support that a lot of people want, is that she doesn't actually increase other people's damage directly in any way. And usually when you take a supporter with you, you want them to, like Manaka, increase attack. You want them to, like Kanao, increase damage up. Maybe you want them to give, we just recently had another character who gave Magia damage up to all allies. That's amazing. Stuff like that. So you kind of want to have some way of increasing your damage, and the only thing that she really does is she regenerates MP, which, like I said, it's still a really nice effect, but isn't as good as just giving a damage up. She also doesn't do defense down on enemies, which would also be an effect to increase your damage. So she's kind of lacking on that sense. She kind of needs to be the one who deals damage herself, but she still helps other people out a little bit, and that's mostly the reason why she's not being played as much as a support. But like I say, on Fire type Kimochi, she's awesome as the damage dealer because she has the attribute strength and damage to all enemies. Something to notice, that neither the Connect nor the Magia give Charm, even though I was going on about how her lore was all about charming people. But guess what? Her Doppel doesn't skill seal, it charms instead. Which is a very interesting choice, but you know what? It makes sense. By the way, the animation for the Doppel, see those two faces on top? The animation for the Doppel is just these two faces, they kiss and then the enemy takes damage. Like, just the sight of those two faces kissing like damages enemies, it's amazing. The Spirit Enhancement though, what does the Spirit Enhancement do? So first off, because she's a Magia type, she gets a bonus MP gain over 100 and double damage Magia damage up node, which is fine. She also gets another Magia damage up and another Magia damage up in here, so she has a whole bunch of Magia damage up nodes, which makes her Magia deal even more damage, and on top of that, she just randomly gets a 10% damage up. And you're kind of seeing now, though, that even though she's not specifically a damage dealer in her stats, like her stats, she has somewhat alright attack, but nowhere near as good as other like really big DPS damage dealers. But she just gets a whole bunch of Magia damage up, she gets the damage up, she gets attribute strength for damage, and regenerate MP, of course, it also regenerates her own MP, so she can keep pumping out more Magia. And overall, she just ends up hitting pretty hard, which is pretty nice, especially with Magia, mostly with Magia. What else she gets? She gets 15% evade, and hey, guess what? 15% chance to charm on attack. That's the only other way she has of inflicting charm other than her personal. And I guess her Doppel, but I'm not even counting that because usually just spamming Magia. Although I guess on Kimochi you might be using Doppel every now and then as well, but on Kimochi it doesn't matter if you charm the enemy or not because the Kimochi is not going to kill you. Okay, what else does it do? We have the active right here, MP gain down and chance of skill seal. Sadly only one target. So sadly her active isn't that great. This is once again something that you're probably going to use in EX challenge quests against enemies that might use Magia, against enemies that might use powerful skills, but it's single target and it's not even 100% chance, which kind of sucks. But even so, I would have much rather liked something that is like good all the time instead of maybe good sometimes, which I'm not really much of a fan of. But overall, maybe Mayu has attracted you as well. She was actually really popular on the Japanese server because a lot of people found her really, really cute. And I guess also because a lot of Japanese people, Japanese fans, I mean, are of course middle-aged men that might get drawn to cute characters. So I guess her lore of attracting those kinds of people is in full effect. So yeah, she's overall a really good Magia spammer with a pretty good amount of support, sort of a support Magia damage hybrid that shines really good against fire types, especially Kimochi, and that gives her a spot in those teams. Apart from that, she's always having a really good connect, especially on Magia teams, but she might not be the standout that you might want from other people, especially because her Magia is lacking those other effects. That was it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit that subscribe button, ring the bell, and I'll see you guys next time.